FIFA wants to regulate soccer agents, and today we're going to talk about how good is FIFA's proposal and how feasible it is. Welcome to Reporte 7. FIFA has dubbed the world of agents as a wild west in soccer, and they have stated their intention to regulate soccer agents once again after they scrapped all regulations back in 2015. So why does FIFA want to do this now? Well, they have provided some examples as to why they believe agents must be controlled once again. These examples include operations in which the agent earned more money than the football player, operations where the agent was paid by all three parts involved in the transactions, and that is buying club, selling club, and footballer. And according to FIFA, agents are making more money than training clubs on a relationship of 10 to 1. FIFA is giving an example of an unspecified player who went from France's league to Germany's Bundesliga for 27 million, and the agent made $22 million in that operation. Also, FIFA is saying that agents worldwide made around $4 billion from 2011 to 2020, and that is only taking into consideration international transactions. That's not taking into account domestic transactions, which also generate a huge amount of money. So what is FIFA's proposal? Well, first of all, they want to limit the earnings of the agents. They are proposing a 3% cap from the player's salary and a 10% cap from the total value of a transaction. And secondly, they want to ban agents from being paid by more than one party in an operation. And they are also talking about the training clubs. They want 5% of each transaction to be destined for the training club. So first of all, I have to say that I believe there is good intention from FIFA here, and that is not something you can regularly say. FIFA is generally an organism which makes everything for their own sake. But I do see here an honest intention to improve the game. And I generally like their proposal. I'm not a fan of limiting a person's earnings. However, I do believe that agents must be controlled now, because we are reaching a point where agents have realized that if they control a soccer player, they can get an enormous amount of power in the game. And I believe that has taken us to a situation where, rather than facilitating the players' market, I think agents are more of an obstacle for that, because, well, if you want to buy this specific player, you have to get through me. And if you as a player have to go to some league, a specific league or a specific team, you have to go through me. And everything has to be in my best interest as an agent, or the operation doesn't work. And that certainly is not a desirable situation. And that also leads us to a situation where a player can arrive to a specific team not only on soccer merits, but based on the work of the agent, which is not desirable. I also like very much the prohibition of being paid by both clubs in an operation. I think the agent has to represent the interest of the player, and that is it. They can't receive payment from the clubs, because, well, that creates a conflict of interest, in which, once again, we are in a situation where agents are not looking after the interest of the player, but their own interests. And what I like the most about FIFA's proposal is that they talk about the training clubs. Training clubs are pretty much ignored in today's professional football, and they do an absolutely valuable work. They are the ones who produce the players, and in a time where soccer is generating such enormous amounts of money, I think training clubs should see some of this money. And I believe if this is a problem, I believe this is a bigger issue. I think soccer has to tackle this issue head on, and I like that FIFA is taking this into consideration. Now, how feasible is FIFA's proposal? Well, first of all, it's already been stated that they will meet legal resistance. Some of the heavyweights from the agent world, like Jorge Mendes or Mino Raiola, have already stated that they will appeal FIFA's regulations, and I do believe they will have some grounds to do that based on labor laws or free economic competition laws in many countries. Well, first of all, that's the first obstacle. Second, even if the regulation, if FIFA manages to pass through the regulation, I believe there are some ways to circumvent that regulation through payments for other concepts, through payments to corporations, to shell corporations, or through payments in different jurisdictions. These are already common practices in soccer world. Which leads me to another point. If FIFA is serious about controlling agents, well, they have to do an enormous work to enforce the regulations. It's not only imposing regulations, but also enforcing them. And for instance, if we take into consideration, as an example, UEFA's work enforcing financial fair play, well, I believe it doesn't give me hope at all. I believe UEFA's work with fair play has been abysmal, and no, it doesn't give me much hope that this will work out. And finally, we get to the most important part of this matter, in my opinion, which is the responsibility that clubs and players have in the role of agents. First of all, I think players have absolutely delegated the responsibility of managing their career into agents, and as long as that happens, I believe it is going to be very, very difficult to control agents, because if you have to get through an agent to speak to a player, the agent has all the power. And secondly, clubs have every single possibility not to deal with specific agents. However, when a club decides to engage in negotiations with that agent, they are empowering him. I'll give you an example. Bayern Munich with the David Alaba case. As soon as Bayern Munich realized that David Alaba's pretensions were through the roof and that he was managed by a difficult personality, they decided to stop negotiations, and they made their peace with losing that player, because they are a very well managed team which had a squad that could resist that, and they decided to go look for another player with better conditions. However, if we go to the other side of the spectrum, you have a team such as Manchester United, which was desperate to improve their squad, and which was desperate to make a big announcement for marketing reasons, and so they decided to splash 100 million euros for Paul Pogba, paying his agent whatever he wanted, which in that particular case I think were 27 million euros. Well-managed clubs don't do that, but as long as there are clubs like Manchester United which are desperate and which have money, well, I think agents will find a way to maintain themselves on this game. But that is my opinion. What do you think about it? What do you think about FIFA's proposal? Do you think it is good? Do you think everyone should be left alone and everyone can choose freely who they want to work with? Or do you think it is feasible? Do you think FIFA will not? There is no chance FIFA can enforce these regulations? Let me know. You can also follow me on Twitter at Montiel, but instead of a T, it's a 7. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this situation. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next week.